So first, we just kind of have to talk about before we get into the Lucho stuff. What do you what are your thoughts on MLS's format for the playoffs with FC being out, Columbus Crew being out, and of course Miami also being?
Yeah, I mean, those teams are out because they didn't play well. I don't think it has anything to do with the format. Naturally, it's a precarious situation for Major League Soccer because you've got the FIFA international breaks intertwined, and so they wanted to reward the regular seasons for the better teams. And when you have a better regular season, obviously you get home games and you get a second bite of the apple in case you lose one. But unfortunately, Columbus couldn't pull it off, Cincinnati couldn't, and then the big one in Inter Miami. But those teams didn't lose because of the format.
And going on, when you originally heard Lucho's comments post game about him talking about the possibility of leaving FC, what was kind of going through your mind?
I thought I was taking crazy pills. For the life of me, I can't figure out what he's talking about. That club, that organization has done everything and anything possible to make sure Luciano Acosta and his family are comfortable, that they deal with the issues that Lucho talked about post game and how it was a difficult year for him. So when he said the club made it real difficult on him, I quite honestly, I just don't see that. They made the right moves to better the team and bringing in Miles Robinson. Luca Orishano's a fantastic player. So full transparency, I'm not sure I'm buying what Lucho's trying to sell me.
And going off of that, can you kind of talk about those specific things that he did to make them comfortable? Of course, we got Luca and Assad in here, and of course, we also lost Fario last year. To talk about some of those moves too.
Well, Orishano's exponentially better than Barriel, so that was an upgrade. I would also argue Miles Robinson is a type of move that you make when you have a player like Luciano Acosta that doesn't really want to defend, that wants freedom to kind of be the attacking player that he is, a good one at that, but you need to sign players that fit that. So they signed players around that. I need to remind everyone that they won 15 of their first 22 games here. That included a 6-1 win at home against Inter Miami. Miazga gets injured, Nick Hagglund gets injured, and then it all unravels. But the first 22 games, they look like they may repeat as Supporter Shield winners. So it wasn't bad. And that's why I'm not going to buy what Lucho's selling, because I think they made the team better, but also to suit Luciano Acosta, not to spite him and not against him. So that's where it doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
And even going off of that, Lucho had that undisclosed injury this year. And before that, he was playing even better than his campaign last year as well. Do you think that him not being named at all on that list, that short list of MVP, potentially took a personal hit to him?
Well, no, because in the last 12, 13 games of the year, he only had 7 goal contributions. So he fell very flat at the end of the year. So he didn't deserve to be in that final list of MVP. I agree with you. 22 games in, he looked like he could be the first repeat winner of the, most valuable player in MLS. But the last 12 games, 4 goals, 3 assists, or whatever the numbers were, it fell flat. The team won 3 of those 12 games, and he wasn't at his best either. So if he took it personal, that's on him, but that's not on the club.
And going off of that, if he were to leave, what would this do to this club?
Well, it depends who they replace him with. I think there's potential that if you move on from Luciano Acosta and make their 2-3 right moves, I actually think you become a better, more well-rounded team. Now, the fans in Cincinnati are going to think I'm absolutely crazy. This is the most valuable player talking about. However, you're up 2-0 at home. You lost to Columbus last year. This year, injuries took a toll. But if that team's not injured this year, that team is in second, or if not first place of the Eastern Conference and maybe the league. So I think if Luciano Acosta is moved on from, and I would really consider it, considering as a captain, I felt like the comments after the game were selfish, in my opinion, irrational. Then depends on the moves, but sometimes that may be the hardest move, may be the right move, and I think FC Cincinnati should look at. Do I think they do? I don't know, but if it was me, I would look at.
And FC, unlike some other teams here in Cincinnati, they really put everything into their team. Like you mentioned, they always are trying to replace players, think who's next. They're putting tons of money into this team. So could just kind of talk to me about your faith in this organization. I know you did, if you want to stress that too.
I love what the ownership group has done in Cincinnati. I love the fact that they went out and got someone like Chris Albright. Chris Albright then goes out and hires Pat Noonan, and there's a continuity within the group. There's a belief within the group that they should win. They're going to go for it every single time. They're going to test each other. They're going to hold each other accountable. I think the ownership group in Cincinnati is top notch. I think they've done everything right, especially after struggling early on in understanding you know what you know and you hire what you don't. And I think they did a real good job of resurrecting the project. Cincinnati and that ownership group is the kind of group you want to work for, where they want to go for it. They may be in a small mid-market, but they're not going to act like it. And I think that's really interesting as someone like myself, the lead analyst, to do things. I like following ownership groups and technical staffs like Cincinnati because they're going to try and win.
And we also have to talk about your friend, since you guys were little, Pat Noonan, because he has been above and beyond so great for leading this team and everything he's also said off the field about Lucho too. So we have to talk about him as well.
Yeah, I've known Pat Noonan since we were 4 years old. We've had many a good times. We've also had many a drag out fights, as any good friends do. He's one of the best men I've ever met, and he's accountable. And I think what you get with FC Cincinnati is that kind of reaction from the lead man, talking to players, treating them with respect, but demanding responsibility within the group. And I think that's where the Lucho comments, and I haven't talked with Pat about this yet, but I would, knowing him as well as I do, it's got to really bother him because he's done a real good job of connecting with Luciano Acosta, making sure he's comfortable, but also getting the best out of Lucho Acosta. And what I would say to Lucho is, you've had the 3 best years of your MLS career. Who's been the manager and who's been the team? I don't know if the grass is always greener on the other side. And I think that's where those comments come from. But there's very few better people than Pat Noonan.
And they're also helping him get his goal of being on the men's national team too, because he's been very outspoken. And Pat was even talking about it going into some of the playoff games. So they are really trying to do everything, especially, like I said, on that national team, to get him up there too.
Yeah, I think Luciano Acosta, if I'm not mistaken, he will be eligible to play on the U.S. national team soon, if not by the end of the year. So he'll be a player looked at. But these are also comments where the national team manager is going to be very curious of saying, wait, hang on a minute. You've had the best 3 years of your life, of your career in Cincinnati, and now you want to leave. So that's where it opens up a Pandora's box that I don't think it needed to, but he would make the United States men's national team better. There's no doubt about that.
My only other big question, I should say, when comments like this are made, what does that kind of do to the clubhouse and the players who are trying to think about if they want to come back next year? I know there's a lot of players who have to make that decision. It's going to be a very interesting offseason for FC.
Well, I think it depends on who your manager is and what kind of environment he's built around that team. And knowing Pat Noonan as well as I do, the group's going to handle it. They're going to be accountable as teammates. They're not going to need Pat Noonan or Chris Albright or Dominic Kinnear or Kenny Arena or any of the guys within that staff of Cincinnati to say something, because the players will say something. I don't think you're going to get a lot of friends or teammates within the group that are going to support those comments from Lucho. I know that, and I'm about 5,000 feet away.
Is there anything that I did not ask you that you would kind of want to stress, whether it's about FC or this situation around Acosta?
No, you're good.
Oh, okay, perfect. Well, I appreciate it. Last question I will ask you, in your glass crystal ball, how do you see this offseason playing out for FC?
I think FC Cincinnati is going to spend some real money to bring in a goal scorer, a position they desperately need. And it wouldn't surprise me if there's another move on the horizon. Is that moving on from Acosta? Is there finding a replacement? Whatever it is. But to use a baseball reference, FC Cincinnati is not going to take 3 strikes. They're going to go down swinging, and they're going to go for it.